Ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure here on Bus Early's Rush Hour. Sad pleasure today in a way, but also a glorious one in another way. To speak with a gentleman, I did my first video podcast with my dear friend who's on the line right now, Shea. We spent over an hour, I believe, music, the sound of Philadelphia, and has an amazing career all the way through. And right now he's on tour with an icon, and there's news about that icon today. Ed, welcome, my friend. How are you?
James, it's a bittersweet day. Thank you for inviting me. And, you know, as a member of Johnny's team, we knew this day was coming. I mean, we saw sort of the decline in the memory over the past couple of years. And the last engagement we did was up at the Foxwoods Casino. And, of course, when John sang, it was absolutely heavenly, you know, goosebump time. When he had to speak, he got to the point where he was introducing, for instance, his drummer of 42 years. He would have to have a sheet of paper in front of him. So, again, it's a sad thing, you know, that memory loss as you get into your 80s and your 90s, and John would have been 90. So, look, fortunately, I will be on the last two dates, which are right here, Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, and out in Bergen Pack, which I heard is already sold out. At the Bergen Pack Center in Englewood. And, you know, us musicians, we're rather jaded. We've seen it all. We've played with everybody. I can't tell you, we would rehearse John with the local orchestras for maybe 2 hours. Some orchestras like Atlantic City, bang, we knock it off in an hour. And then John would work with just the rhythm section. And I've never seen musicians hang around. Usually when that final note is done, they're either hitting a restaurant or just hanging out, or if you're in Atlantic City, you're walking the boardwalk. They would stay to listen to John just do his vocal warm-ups with the rhythm section and go through bits and pieces of, you know, My Foolish Heart or Misty, or one photograph with him. And I told you before, James, he was the most generous, the kindest human being in the world. So it's going to be a tough last show doing that.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I mean, I worked with him originally, I think it was February or January of 1970 at the Latin Casino, and I would remind John, you know, this is when we did 2 shows a night, 8 and 11 for 7 days, and wow. And I just watched him on a repeat of, you know, MeTV this past Sunday, doing a live tribute of Richard Rodgers years ago from the Hollywood Bowl with John Davidson and the Lennon Sisters. And he sang Johnny One Note, and he held on to one note, and it was like, God, I can't wait to see John to ask him about that performance. But, you know, I tend not to do it because I don't think, you know, he remembers everything. And listen, don't ask me where my glasses are right now, James, because I'll be looking all over for 5 pairs of dollar store glasses. So, but John is just, it's been a great journey, and of course I'm going to miss him, and I'm going to miss the guys, and I'm going to miss all the local musicians that I've met in, you know, Los Angeles and Las Vegas and Boston and DC. You know, if we don't know each other's names, there's always hugs. It's always that camaraderie of making great music, and again, after the job, just doing a big social hang with the rhythm section. So yeah, we knew it was coming, and it still leaves a little empty hole in your heart, you know. So,
yeah, but then let's celebrate for a moment.
Yeah.
How many icons in this industry? How many people can say that they have spent 7 decades of their life, 7 decades on the stage performing, and still have it, and still have the voice, still have the magic? Johnny Mathis has been performing since the 1950s.
Yes. Well, to answer your question, there's no one right now because, of course, we lost Frank Sinatra, and then Tony Bennett went into his 90s, and John was the last. And I always felt bad that he never got those Kennedy Center Awards. I don't think John was ever invited to that. And you're talking about the 50s. I often think when I was having dinner with John and the guys, when they give us catering, I can remember being on the beach in Wildwood, New Jersey with my mom and dad. My dad had this little Sears Silvertone AM radio, you know, that worked on batteries, and I would hear Johnny singing and Pat Boone, and here I am dining with this guy and then backing him up. This is the end of this era of the saloon singer, the nightclub singer. This is it, James. But it's been just a wonderful experience, and you know, you're so attuned to the whole music industry that you would reach out to me. You know, I mean, one day, you know, you could be talking with Omar Hakim about doing a funk date. And, you know, then we can be talking about Johnny Mathis. And, of course, John did 2 albums with Tom Bell at Sigma down at Philly.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And we had that great hit with Denise Williams, Too Much, Too Little, Too Late. And he was just a beautiful guy. You know, he did a couple albums in Nashville. I mean, he never let grass grow under his feet. He was always looking a little something to do. And for years, we used to open with a Philly International medley, Stone in Love, and I forget the other tune. But it was like, what a great opening. You know, I felt like...
Well, I hope it would Stop, Look, and Listen to Your Heart, because he did that on the I'm Coming Home album, and It was a Tom Bell arrangement, and it was awesome.
Yes. And, you know, hopefully on our last 2 engagements, we still do Betcha by Golly Wow. And for years he did You Make Me Feel Brand New, and he always gave Tom a plug. He said, you know, it's famous Philly producer Tom Bell, and I would... Whenever I could get through to Tom, I would let him know, hey, Tom, your name was mentioned. And, oh, yes, Mr. O'Shea.
Yes.
So, you know, James, it's just been wonderful. And like I said, it's going to be a tough final night on that May 18th at the Bergen Pack. You know, just packing up the music for the last time.
Maybe we'll be able to speak with you after the show or before that show. And I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us today, and we will talk further. Absolutely. You know, I got nothing but love for you, Ed.
Oh, James, listen, I'm honored, and keep up the great work that you do, and God bless you, and thank you so much for inviting me into your world and letting my voice be heard around the world with WABC Radio. Thank you, James.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Ed Shea, ladies and gentlemen, he's out working with Johnny Mathis, who again today has announced his retirement. They had shows scheduled for the rest of the year. They're not going to do it. They're going to stop after the May show, and it ends at Bergen Pack. Interestingly enough, that's it for Johnny Mathis performing. That show already sold out. So, yeah, the great Johnny Mathis.